Try that again. All right, side to side. We've got just a few seconds to get that upper body up, and then that arm is going up over your head. And we'll do that same little thing. We're going to add a few more. Like that leg goes down and up in that squat, and then reach up on that side. So just take your time to go like old school warm up here. And you're looking and you're reaching. Oh, it feels good to get some flow through that body. I slept like a rock, so that's always good. Abs are nice and tight, and your posture, all you're thinking is about your upper body staying kind of stacked over your hips, as we say in Pilates. After this, we're going to add that leg coming up and across to the opposite elbow. So think about just shifting still. You'll stand on that leg that you're leaning toward, and then you just twist. So I lean, stand, twist, and now arms come out to this kind of higher field goal post business. So what happens is you start stabilizing your standing leg. And if you're using your mat as this obstacle, that will then just keep your legs at width. So you start pulling inner thigh, and then that crunch happens right in that center. So your knee and elbow should be meeting right in the middle of that mat. It's good to have a kind of a target or an obstacle here to be thinking about. Then we're going to bring those feet together in the mat, and you're right here. Let's just kind of march it out, shake it out a little bit. And then I'm going to have you just go into this little jog. So you're going to now stay narrow, which is easier said than done. And you're kind of just looking up. So your posture is real stable. And then those arms are pumping right alongside of you. So as simple as just running in places, you want to hope that your feet are coming down from their exact placement. So you're very stationary. This is harder than it actually looks. So I'm very narrow and pushing off heel toe, heel toe. Okay, hands go to your hips. We lunge back right and left. Same thing. So now my feet come from that very centered position. Hands are just at my hips being stable. And you alternate slow stepping back. Feet come right together. So we'll start warming up that lower body. And then just find that depth of that back knee. The beauty of the reverse lunge is that that knee on the front lines itself up and it stays perfectly in line with that ankle. It's typically where we have issues on the lunges. If you step backward, you're taking your weight back in there. Hold this right leg back. So now we're here. I'm going to lean forward to my left leg and not putting too much pressure on the knee. Step in, step back. So now I'm leaning forward over this left, and that right leg takes me back low, almost like I'm going to touch the knee. And then that right toe comes right to your left heel. So lean forward. So your upper body really is just going down right over that thigh and then back up. Yeah, from the side, you can just see my upper body stays right in that placement. And then what happens is you start working really intense quad and a little bit of that glute. Now I stay forward still on that left leg. Now if that Bosu ball's in front of you, I'm going to go down. I'm kicking the right leg straight to the back. So still holding your weight on that left, and you're right down the middle of that mat. Hands go down to a obstacle. You could use whatever you have. Even if your weights are standing up, you just want to get your chest over the thigh, touching something down in front of you. If you go all the way to the floor, that's a real big forward fold. And that's more challenging than we need to do right now at the warm up. So just take something. Sometimes you can go to your own knee. Now we hold it. So now I'm still standing on that left leg. Right knee comes in, kick. So now I'm just staying with my upper body. Let that left leg do that little push in and out. So it comes to my knee. There's a little flex there and a full extension as if you're kicking right through the back of your mat. That right heel kicks straight back. Meanwhile, all your weight's on that left side. Good. Press through that left side. And your hands are up on whatever, the bench or the Bosu ball is going to come into play next. Step both legs back. You're taking it to the width of your mat. You're in a plank. Bring your head forward. and let your hips dip a little bit, not too dramatic. Come up and press back into downward dog, stretching. So you roll to your toes, drop through your hips. I just look right over the top of that Bosu ball, so I'm not real swayed in the back. Push up with those hips into your heels. You stretch back, push into the toes, drop into that hip, stretch in the front. A little bit of everything happening right there. And then as we transition, we're going to step those legs forward and back. So get your body into the plank. You step that right leg into the forward lunge, step back into the plank, left leg to the lunge in the plank. So you're alternating, and just give me a little bit of a stretch, come back. So this would be kind of our transition move. Yeah, you want to have your upper body just holding that position. Your head really doesn't move at all. It's just that big step up and sit into it, back into the plank, stretch plank. And you shouldn't be killing the arms. If your arms are taking a lot of pressure here, give them a break. Come back right here, take a downward dog stretch. And then we're going to jump those feet at the same time. Jump wide and low up to your hands, narrow, light on your mat. Wide, narrow, low, and back. So once again, like the running in place, looks very simple. It's all about placement. Soft, quiet landing into the squat. Nice and narrow, tight, high plank. Push. And you got your own speed. You got 30 seconds, 35 seconds to do whatever speed works for you. 5 seconds left. We're going to hold the plank for a brief second here. Hold this plank, catch your breath. Our first set of push-ups is narrow, down on the Bosu ball, and we add that stretch. So you're over the top, up and back. Press those heels together. So when you come forward, it's like you're on a pogo stick. The whole lower body is simultaneous. If you need to do those push-ups on your knees, go for it. You can stretch back on your knees if that feels okay. Yeah, good. All the way forward. Keep everything tight and aligned. Tight and right, as we say. Okay, take that little stretch, and we are stepping those feet back to the center. Roll it up here. Hands back up on the hip. Alternate the lunge back. So now we go left leg, right leg, and we're going to repeat everything we did, but this time the right leg's going to stay forward. So let's get these lunges again. So just get your body lined. Hands are up at your hips. We're adding weight on this next round. So the second time we come back to this, you'll be holding those dumbbells. So think about that. This is really just to see where your feet come from the center, and then you're in your railroad tracks where each lunge goes back to. Okay, now this time, you're gonna take that left leg back right here, lean forward, and it's just here to here. So now my right leg has all my weight. That left leg is just a light little tap to the heel, lunge to the back. You're bent over that front side. Yeah, nice and low. So you just think about your chest going toward the knee and then up into it, not even a full extension because you're keeping tension all the way on there. Oh, that burns a little bit more on this side. Yeah. 4, 3, 2. Now, if you're using your Bosu ball, you're going down and coming up. So now you've got that target. So now it's more of a straight leg down, a little bit of a kick in the back, but it's more about you going straight over that right foot and then coming back up. We will not attempt this standing on the Bosu ball today. I just like that you've got that sense of balance when you're about halfway from your knee to your ankle to the floor, and you can kind of catch your weight on that Bosu ball. So you touch it, you come back up. That is a one leg deadlift. And then the next one, we're keeping our hands down on the ball, keeping that left leg lifted. It comes into the right, up and kick. So now, stationary kick on that one. Oh yes, your body is forward, little bit of weight in the hands. Let that left leg do all that work. Really push back like you're kicking to the back out wall of your mat. Good. That looks nice. 15 seconds, you're breathing in, feel your right side stabilizing. So that leg that's not moving, it's trying to keep all of your balance right there, push. Okay, step it back. Both legs go back right here. You're in the plank, and then we step it forward. Right leg comes up to the top, and then you come back into the plank. So alternating those stepping forward lunges, and we'll work it just like that. Forward, good. And that, if the Bosu ball's not high enough, you could use an ottoman, a table, something else just to keep your chest up. But this should get you to where that leg really stretches. And that stretch goes right in the back of those thighs up into your glutes. That's a single leg lunge. Okay, hold the plank. And then, we're going to add to this. So you're going to jump forward. And this time you jump on the Bosu ball if you're using that. So it's a full on burpee. Jump wide forward, up on, off easy. So slow, stick the landing. And then that little back into the plank forward is where you have a little bit of momentum. Yeah, make sure you land on top and hold that, stick it, land on the ground, stick it. And then this part's easy. This is the most important jump, the one up on the Bosu ball. Yeah, you want to squeeze your legs together, land for a second, land wide for a second, and then fast. Okay, hold it back right here. And our push-ups, if you still need the stretch, you're going down and up and back. If you don't, just give me that full-on push-up on your toes or on your knees. And your elbows are rubbing your upper body, your rib cage. Thumbs are forward and head is forward. So I'm looking past the Bosu ball out on the floor in front of me. And that gets your body right over the top of that center. I exhale and push it right straight up. If you think about it, you're really doing about a 30-degree extension on that arm. Hold it up right here. So that's an easier version of a push-up. Now you're in the plank. We're going to tap those legs off of the side of your mat, back into the center. So now you're just holding. The key with this one is that you're looking over the label so you see your hands. Nothing should be bouncing or moving forward and back over that ball. If you are tight through your core, your legs should be the only thing moving. And then nothing should be affected on the Bosu ball. So it's showing you like, yeah, wow, I'm using a lot of upper body, or my back is getting involved if you're moving on the Bosu ball. Whew, okay, that would be round one. Take a little stretch back. We are picking up the weights. So, and I told you to choose medium, whatever that may be for you. We are going to hold the weights for this whole thing, starting standing in that wide position. So you have the option to drop them as you need to, but kind of challenge yourself this first round. We're going to be doing 2 rounds of this, and if they get too heavy, you just dump them. Adding a little bit of upper body to this. So right now they're just wide into my stance right by my side here. I'm going to bring the weights in front. So they're right up on my thighs, palms are facing me, and my heels are wide. And I'm just going to take it all the way down in that narrow, like wide squat for the inner thigh, and then upright row. So the arms are the addition to this. So we've already worked the posture. Look at that. You're standing up tall, elbows go out. I'm pressing those weights together so they stay up at the top, and it's just that nice width. I love that mat stance because that's about as wide as one step away from your hips, and then you can turn those toes out. So you're down on the inner thigh, up and pull. Elbows lead, exhale to the top. Now, come narrow. Oh my goodness. Pick up the feet, and we're going to lunge straight to the back, right and left. Now, the arms are just hanging onto those weights. They're dangling in my hands, not a death grip. I let that heavy part of the weight kind of catch up at my pinky side, and then the thumb and finger just kind of hold that position, but the weight is dangling toward the ground. And then just focus on your form. You're going straight back your mat, pushing off the toe. Yeah. And you realize, oh, that first round was so much easier. And it's just a little bit of weight to your sides. Crazy how that adds. Come to the center. We break it up with a back exercise. Slouch forward. Yep, round that back. And now I want you to round the back like you're dangling the weights to your toes, pull them up to the sides of your ribs. So again, you're narrow. It's kind of like that push-up position, but you're pulling the weight up against gravity this time. It's a little different way to work that into the rear part of the shoulder, into your lats. Nice. And then you'll also realize that the weight standing on its head is about the same height as the Bosu ball. So that will come into play here. Okay, stand up tall. Right leg this time is gonna cross off behind the mat and then up into the knee. So left leg is not gonna move. My left foot is down the center of the mat. Right leg is not touching the mat anywhere. Off to the back, but look at your chest straight forward. So you get that curtsy lunge, which is inner thigh on the left, outer upper hip. And the arms are keeping your posture. So looks very graceful. A lot going on in that one. And if there's any tweakiness on your knee, you could turn your foot in the direction that that knee is going. Just keep your upper body stable. Now we stay standing on that left leg with these weights. Right leg is gonna go down and I can tap the weights to the floor. If you don't like standing up with the weights, then leave them on the floor and you're doing this. I would just prefer you dangle those weights in your hands. That right leg is floating to the back. And then that left leg is just straight and stable. Yeah, we've gone from really comfortable and easy. That is a challenge. Your weights now are touching each spot on your mat, just like your feet were. Whew, this will be the hardest one I ask you to do. Nice. Set them down, leave your hands forward on them. And then the same thing, knee comes in on the right. You're still standing on that left leg. We have not changed legs. So right knee comes into the left, kick it out. Give me a little more bend. So from the side, you'll see when I bring that right knee in, I kind of sit down into it, extend and push it all the way out. So down. In boxing, we call that chamber. And then you kick. And if you're on carpet like I am, and that's maybe a little unstable on the weights, put your hands back on the Bosu ball or the bench. The instability makes your upper body do a little bit more work. Yeah, get low. All right. Now you stay right there. That right leg is going to step back into the lunge. I'm resting my heels up, my hands on the weights. Step forward. Now you're not kicking, you're stepping, but your arms are forward and stable. There we go. So see how that makes a difference? Whew. It's purposeful that we use these targets and your upper body is right over the weight. So you're not bringing your head back and forth. Your head stays right in the same place. So just make sure that you're not going back with your chest. It's just your leg reaching as far as your upper body will allow it. My chest stays right over that left knee. Then step it together. I'm going to pick up those weights. I'm going to get low in the squat. I'm going to squat curl right to the top. So I'm down low. Feet are narrow on that center of your mat. Push. Touch the floor, touch your shoulders, push your weights, touch them over your head. Down. There we go. Here's our transition. Nice. Let's see what our goals here. Keep those feet together. Knees should stay together that whole way. I'm touching, I'm pressing them together. I'm pressing them together. And then they barely come up apart up at the top. Wow. Okay. Take it back down here. Let's switch the legs on this one. So your right leg is going to be stable. Left leg steps back and forward. Back and forward. So we're working this whole thing backward. If you don't feel like you're stable, make sure your weights are just kind of right to the outside of those toes and your toes come together right in between those weights every single step. So get that alignment first. Kind of using the top of my mat for this one. And you just bring that leg forward. All right, that leg stays back. You're going to stand on the left leg. And now that right knee comes in and kick. Oh, that's a little bit of extension on that leg. Whew, on your right leg that you're standing on. So you're kicking, bending, kicking. Oh, and you start to sweat when your head is down like that. So watch your position. Watch your breathing and then push through that heel. Your left heel is powerful. You got power there. Yeah, that's a burn. Oh, the good news is we're going to stand with this. Whoo-wee. You're going to bring the weights with you. Okay, here was the hardest one. Remember, standing on your right leg. Left leg goes down. Stand and pull. Left leg goes back. So here, the way this trains you is that you're going straight down over that leg and straight up. So your weights, if you look at them dangling on my side, they go straight down, straight up. They're not going forward and back. They're going straight down. And that, if you don't have a mirror, is hard to see, kind of. And I'm dangling them just so they're vertical. That's going to actually give me a little, they're about 8 inches tall. That's going to give me that depth so I don't have to bend far forward. So if you dangle them, you give your balance a little bit different challenge. Okay, now I'm hanging on to them. Right leg is going to stay as the left leg steps off and up to the knee. Right leg, you can turn that toe, but look at that left leg. It does not touch your mat. Way behind you, up into the knee. Yeah, reset your balance a little bit. Oh, I line everything up because it just makes sense. If I'm have the handles of the Bosu ball pointed to the middle of my mat, that is where my right foot is. And then I'm just looking straight up over it. I'm staying square to the Bosu ball and then not touching the mat with the left toe. Very nice. I believe that's where we started, right? Come to the center and we squat, curl, and press. So you get everything on this one. I want you thinking about glutes, biceps, shoulders, and glutes, squeeze. Even though you're doing all that, posture muscles and abs stand you upright to get that perfect posture up at the top. Good work. We'll do one more bent over row with that slouchy posture. It's purposeful that we do that slouchy because your shoulders have a bigger range of motion when you are slouched forward. Okay, so from the side, you round out your shoulders. I'm just kind of caving my posture and dangling those weights. Then I go to good posture, slouch. Good posture. That's all about your scapula. The little bony shoulder blades in your back go away from your spine when you're slouching and then toward the spine. Retraction when you're pulling up and squeezing, protraction out and away. And there is the way you can stand up tall. You retract to pull your shoulder blades back. And let those arms dangle. Let them be an extension of that weight. They reach low and then pull up high. The good news is we're going to dump those weights. Okay, catch your breath. Whole round without the weight. Okay, get a drink of water if you need to. Whew, moving right along. Who would know it's 20 below out? When we're sweating here, it's 100 some degrees difference, probably, not 100, but what, 70, 60, 80 degrees difference between inside and outside, 85? Good Lord. That's inhumane. Okay, we are going back to the Bosu ball. So third set of push-ups, and I just challenge you to keep your body forward and not do the stretch. If you need the stretch or need to take it to your knees, go for it. So give me this little tall position. Remember, lock those feet in and your head goes right over, straight up. So no forward and back, down and up. Now, if that's getting too easy for you, I haven't said that for a while, we could put our toes on the Bosu ball, hands on the floor, and you create a slight decline. Because you look at that, you're not going, you're going 8 inches away from the floor and you're pushing your body weight into it. So this is really an assisted push-up. I got to get us back to normal because now doing them on the floor is going to be a lot harder, 8 inches further on this one. So think about that for a second. Let's go into the elbow plank. I want your fingers coming to the top of the Bosu ball, elbows over the label. I look back at my toes and now my leg lifts straight up. Alternate right lift, left lift. Now again, that looks real easy. You want to stay in line down the middle of your mat and the heel comes up above the height of your shoulders. I know you can't see that, but you can feel it. That is where your glute extends to engage the whole width of your backside. So this is really fine tuning kind of today. You got to get that heel higher. Can you push it up a little bit higher, but stay narrow? Let's leave that right leg up in the air. So your left leg is stable That right knee comes to the ball and then kick, to the ball, then kick. Oh, try. This is where your body wants to go forward and back.
Still on my elbows?
Yeah, if you can stay on your elbows, you're down low. If you don't like that, you can come up on your hands. But down on your elbows, you really get a sense of balance and stabilizing in the torso. Oh, that is not easy. Your head is tucked in between your upper arms, and you see the knee tap the Bosu ball, and then that heel goes way up high. That'll be one of the tightest, most technical exercises we do. Okay, why is my mat moving? That's a sign. Come up wide and just give me that jump forward, jump back. Let's we call this shaking it out. Let's keep the feet wide so you're not touching the mat. Jump wide, forward wide, back wide. So nothing is touching your mat. My God, your mat should not be moving like mine was. That's a key. And if you're too much forward on those arms, get light on your hands and just use that Bosu ball when you jump back and forth. You can give a little bit of a standing up position if you want to get the relief on the hands. We got the other side to do. Okay, come back. Give me this. This time we're doing push-ups. Let's go side to side. Take one hand to the floor. I'm pivoting, but I want you to get that depth. So I go over to the left, over to the right. That should feel like it's a little more challenging. Yeah, see? There's a stretch when you go toward that hand. There we go. And you're breathing. This still is easier than doing them on the floor because one hand is elevated. So we got to make sure we're not just neglecting our traditional challenging push-ups. Back to the center, on those elbows, hold that plank narrow, and let's this time tap right and left again. So you're looking at the Bosu ball, it should not be moving. And your head is in between your forearms, looking in between your elbows. Pinkies are forward. Mine are touching the rim on the top of that ball. And I'm looking back at my toes coming from the center and the mat not moving. There's the magic to that. And then we've got that other side. You're going to move the left side. So in that plank, left leg stays lifted, knee to the Bosu ball, kick up high to the ceiling, and your head stays planted right over the label. Oh, yes. That is one of the more challenging things to do, especially if you're down on your elbows because you've got all glute work and a lot of abs. You come up a little bit higher, you just take your abs out of it, you put a little bit more into that quad on the right leg, that's fine. Oh, work that backside. I want you thinking left glute. Whew, 3, 2. Okay, come down to the ground, take a little stretch here. We're going to put our body on top of here, like your abs, to get our back and a little bit more glute. So I'm going to slide my Bosu ball back just so I don't lose you. Okay, I'm going to come forward over the top. So maybe from the side, you might be able to see my hips where they bend are kind of right. Yeah, they're a little bit behind the label. My elbows are going to come forward. So this is really loungy and my back isn't flexed or anything. I'm looking down to take this tension out. I'm going to take this left leg, the one you just were working, bend it like this, and I'm just going to lift very tiny little movement like this, okay? So what my goal is that my elbows stay down, right knee stays down, and then you just tell the left leg to move. If we sit a lot in a day, that glute doesn't need to move this way because you're actually hyperextending. You're extending past its line. That's hyperextension. That is where you ask that contraction to really lift that leg. So if you have a struggle with getting it up past your hip height, it tells you a lot about the strength of your glute. And now that should be a little challenging. All right, now leave your upper body right there. Leave those legs, both legs down, arms come wide. I just want you to pull up through the back. If that doesn't feel good, use your hands. You round out over the Bosu ball. So take the time to get slouchy. This is really slouchy. And then there's your perfect posture. If you were standing up against the wall, hands to the wall, back against the wall. And then you round out out away from it. Up and squeeze. Down and easy. So take the time. You don't want to strain those muscles there. It's all connected, the backside. 3, 2, relax your upper body. Okay, get those elbows underneath you. And then this time the right leg is going to move. So left knee is down, left toe is down, and you're just taking that right leg, right at the kind of the crease of where your hip is bending is where the height, and I can feel my leg not going straight up behind. If you could see yourself in a mirror or something from the side, you'd want to just see that the knee is bent and your heel's leaning toward the ceiling. Another thing to think about is this leg way harder than the other? If there's an imbalance between the two legs, that's more of a problem than just being overall weak there. Okay, let's leave those legs down. One more back extension. If it feels good and you want a little bit more resistance, you increase the length of your arms. You may not need that. Don't strain your neck. So just lift your body up like a plank, round it out. Lift and squeeze everything on that backside, round it out. Exhale at the top. Catch your breath at the bottom. Just slow. You want your back to feel like every little muscle is going from the waistband up into your shoulders, and then just vice versa. You reverse that exercise on the way down. Oh, we're going to do the same thing for the lower body. I need to shift a little bit forward. So right where those hips are, I'm going to put them more on top, bend both knees, and now see if you can push the feet and the knees up away from the floor. Just you're going toward the ceiling. In perfect theory of what I just explained about the height, your knees should be going up at least to your hip height. I know the ball is kind of a little cumbersome, but if you get your upper body down, you should be able to get those knees up higher than that level of the Bosu ball. And that is glutes on both sides. Whew, 5. Like I said, fine tuning today, which is kind of good. Okay, where you're placed, you should be able to do Superman's. And if not, just adjust. This means arms and legs are floating. So here's good posture with your upper body. Shoulders are down away from your ears. Elbows are tucked to the side. Legs are out, extended, feet are flexed. And if you need assistance, drop your head and bring your hands to the floor. You can do one arm, one leg at a time. And here's your postural strength. If you can hold that and nothing is painful, nothing feels compromised, think about what's working. You've got 5, 4, 3, 2, relax down, take your body off of the Bosu ball, kneel behind, arms up on top, and then take that little child's pose. You are sitting back on your heels. I want you to lean to this right side as the right arm reaches over the ball. Feel that nice side stretch. Oh, we're not done yet. We're just going to take this interval to stretch. Left arm up and over the Bosu ball. Lean and shift your weight into that left hip. Oh, we're going to do some one-arm things, some one-legged things as we hang onto the weights. Both weights, the same medium-sized weights. Come forward, come into the plank, stretch back into your downward dog briefly, walk your feet forward and pick up your dumbbells. Okay, back to this. You're going to hang on to those dumbbells. You're going to keep your feet wide as we did at the very beginning, and we're just going to go left arm, up and press, squat, right arm, up and press. So to the floor, I'm keeping that weight kind of at my hip and let that be my guide. Floor, hip, over my head, push, floor. You can pull up to your shoulder. If the weight's light enough, I'm going to flip it to my shoulder right there, or you're going to drag it up your body and then push it up there. So you've got an option. Whatever your 30 seconds allows, but you're wide. It's a squat, it's a touchdown, it's an up and over press. From the width, turn your palms toward the front. Squat, bicep curl. Now I'm pushing those heads of the weights together once again, and I'm light in the palms, and elbows are up against my body. So the upper arm stays there, down, drive it straight up like that. So nice and tight. Kind of fine tuning. So like you're sliding your back, so avoid coming forward with your upper body. I'm kind of looking up kind of at that ceiling area, just so you don't look down and have your upper body round out. It's in the legs, okay? Turn your palms toward you, step your feet together, Now we hinge with a straight leg, left arm, right arm. So they're kind of that pendulum business. The weight's touching the knee position, and I pull that arm up, alternating. So what happens here is your back then is trying to say, should I shift because that arm's moving? No, keep everything flat and just isolate right arm, left arm. It's not about the heaviness, it's about the movement, because the next one they're moving at the same time. So keep your palms just like that, left arm, right arm. Okay, you're still right there, but now your back is flat. Kind of look out past your toes, and both arms come up at the same time. Tap the weights at the bottom in front of your knees. See how much more challenging that is. Don't rotate your hands. Your palms face you the entire time, so your elbows are going out wide, kind of into that field goal post, but you're facing forward. So out wide. Oh my goodness, that is all trapezius down into the back of your shoulder, a little bit of lats because you're bent over. There we go. It's silly how some of these easy basic movements feel real challenging. Now we're standing up tall, hands of the weights are right by us. We alternate the lunge back with the bicep curl. So now we've just added arms and legs to this. Again, what's one thing is super simple. You start combining this, the challenge doesn't just double, it quadruples. So you've got the balance in the middle of the mat. You got the lunge that we've already done 1,000 times. And we add the curl and momentum. Wow, it's a lot. Sometimes you just jump into class like, oh, a reverse lunge with a curl. There is a lot going on. You have to build up into it. Okay, stay stable. Up in the top, hands by you. Another one that looks easy. Squat, curl, press. Third time for this one. Or maybe fourth. Who's counting? Who should be counting? Right here. Up, press. But remember, it's not with your back. It's the bend, hips bend, knees bend, chest stays lifted. So you're not really looking down at the ground. The ground isn't going to move. It's going to stay there for you. Better. Yes, squat down. Press up. Perfect posture. That is good. Whoo-wee. Because that one was so good, we're going to alternate our curtsy lunges. I'm going to hold my weights like this for posture. So right leg off the back, come center. Left leg off the back. So give your time, give your body that little centered position. And then the leg goes off and behind on the diagonal, okay? But if you hold the arms up like this, you're not going to be twisting and turning that spine. There, this should not hurt your knees. Oh, it's a heart rate one. Get them up there, 10. We've come full circle. We've held these weights for quite some time. Very good. And the last one, up and over like this with the dumbbells. Slouchy. So show me you're rounded. My knees are bent, I'm rounded. And then I go into good posture, slouch. Weights are moving a big full range down to my toes, up to my shoulders. But the whole time the elbows stay in. So if you're on your mat and it had walls, I'm staying narrow. Pull it up, exhale to the top. Good. Never normally would you hear slouching, but you get it, right? That rounded shoulders move away from the spine, tall, they move toward the spine. Okay, dump those weights. Fantastic. Let's do a little bit of ab glute combination with the Bosu ball. So I'm going to slide that back into place on the mat, kind of to the back, just so I can have space here. I'm going to come into a bridge. So I'm sitting in front of it and I'm putting my shoulders and head on it. So this would be really relaxing. Head, neck, and shoulders are relaxed. I'm going to come up into my heels and this is a bridge. Okay. So just take the time to find upper body. I'm going to extend. Oh, that feels great on those biceps. Reach your fingertips long. So there's a stretch here. And all you're looking for is a tabletop with that lower body. Obviously, you're sloping from your knees to your hips, but from your hips through your shoulders. And again, without seeing it, you kind of just want to envision, am I parallel? You guys look good. You're stretching, arms over your head. Take a nice deep breath right there. and you're squeezing those glutes. Walk your feet one big wide step out and then turn your toes outward. So you kind of got that duck stance, and then push up a little bit higher. You can bring your arms by your side now and feel that. That should feel completely different. No strain at the knees. And then that action is happening right at that outer part of your glutes. By you lifting and holding, you can't really do this wrong. Gravity is your resistance here. So take note of what's doing this. Is your back hurting because your glutes can't do this? Are your abs supporting the back? So compress your abdominal wall. That gives your back support. And it should just be firing right here. You're just holding this. If you can lock into that mentally and picture and make sure that's working, then you can drop and lift those hips into the bridge. And sometimes if you can't, the movement will help you do this. So drop those hips to the ground, drive up to those heels, and I want you to squeeze. Give me 30 more seconds of that movement. Yeah, tap the floor and then drive and squeeze it up. You have to do the contraction at the top. I mean, the movement itself is an easy thing to do, but to push it up and be like as hard as a rock back into that glute is all you. But just make note if your back is starting to tweak. Sometimes people say, oh, I feel this in my back. Yeah, if your glutes don't want to do it, they're going to ask for some support, and it's going to come from right around that area. And typically your low back will be the one that tries to help. And there's where you feel it. Okay, walk your feet back in together. Set those hips down. Take a little stretch over the ball this way. This is just for your upper body. Whew, nothing too crazy here. We're going to push our body over the ball. So now I'm going to sit up on top of there, lay back with my waistband. Now I've moved up onto the ball, and I should be able to pull my knees up, and now nothing's touching the floor. So if you're here, I can hang on to my knees, to my shins if I'm in a tight little ball. Anything outside of small, so this is small, anything outside of that is going to engage and challenge your abs. So if I bring my arms back to support my head and my legs out, see how that counterbalances? See if you can stretch your body out to whatever capacity you can, squeezing those legs. And this is just what we call dead bug. Back in Pilates, you make yourself still and small. So if you're shaking, you're not quite dead here. Extend it out. This would be the hardest one to go into a full boat pose, but you've got options as long as nothing's touching the floor, and you've got 15 seconds. Just engage, tight, tight, tight. If we were doing all those exercises correctly at the beginning, you were engaging these muscles, so this should be fatiguing, this should be challenging. Oh, and you're holding. Good. Sit up nice and tall. Oh my, walk your body forward. Good, good work. Over the top of the toes, you take that stretch, and then you round the back out once again. So now this feels good, but your goal here is to straighten out those legs so the hamstrings are being engaged. Oh man. Some of those fine-tuning skills, we just get into the pattern of moving, and yep, I've done this 1,000 times, and sometimes we forget the basics, and you go back or mentally focus on something different, and it's like, oh, that felt weird. Right hand behind you, left arm up and over, twist to that spine gently. And then the other direction. And then when you're balanced up on the ball here, you got a little bit more challenge. A lot of inner outer thigh. Bring your feet together. And I want you to go over the top. Once again, rounding those shoulders, letting your chest go straight over the center. And that's why using like an obstacle, like your mat, and staying either on or off it, just lines up your feet. So when you do those right and left things, you have something as a gauge to make sure your range of motion is the same or your distance is the same. Oh, let's bring those feet together. Come to a forward folding stand, and you're looking through your knees, trying to straighten out those legs. And if you have your weights, you can set your hands on your weights. Some of the props make things easier. Sometimes they make it harder. Oh, round out. You're slouchy here. Let those arms dangle. And then when you bring your hands up to your thighs, you flatten your back, send those shoulder blades away from your ears so you're kind of retracted and lengthened in the spine. And then I look toward my hips and then push your hips forward. Oh, so good. And that's how you do it. Good job. How do you feel?
Good. How